I got some dumb football questions for you guys.
I like dumb
if you're
football
interested.
questions.
Fucking ready? Let's go.
Okay. All right, here we go. Dumb football questions. On the O-line committee, you can always hit us up by dropping your dumb football questions in the YouTube comment section. And again, if you haven't already clicked the like and subscribe buttons below on this video, if that's where you're consuming, you can help us get to 20,000 subscribers. On the audio side, as we look to grow on Apple and Spotify, it goes a long way when you give us a 5-star rating and a positive review. So please do that if you could be so kind. Let's start with John Benson here, who has a dumb football question. He says, how do you adjust or react to a position or strength coach who has a poor reputation or who gives you bad advice that might hurt your career? You guys don't have to get specific
Alex.
if you don't want to, but like, there's got to be coaches. There's so many coaches in the NFL.
Okay.
That are just
I'll
like,
tell you.
that just ain't it.
Yeah, no, when we were here, actually, surprisingly, and I should say this, I didn't really go to OTAs ever. I trained with my trainer, and he was like, we're going to train 10 times harder than anybody's ever going to train. And we did. Like, there was no doubting it. So everybody was always like, oh, this is okay. When I came here, I remember one of the first text messages to my trainer. I was like, hey, listen, man, I know you're new, and I heard that you're big into running. I was like, I'm not a big runner. Like, I just don't want to do it. I obviously have fucking terrible knees. I was like, I'll lift anything and fucking sit in a weight room all day, but I am not going to get on the field. And he was like, yeah, no problem. First day we get there, he's like, all right, we're going to do 10 gassers. And I'm like, hey, you got me, right? And he's like, no, get in here and do this. He's like, you're a leader, and Zimmer expects you to be a leader. I was like, dude, we had this conversation. And I obviously had to be there, right? It was in my contract. And I was like, I remember I called my man. I called the Charles right away. I like walked out of the workout and called Charles like, he wants me to run 10 gassers. And he was like, the fuck you're going to run that shit? And I was like, I don't know, man. Zimmer's standing over here looking at me like, you better be running these gassers. And I remember calling my agent. He was like, just run them and shut up. Dude, I ended up blowing my back
So you were
out.
worried about your knee, like your knees were kind of rickety. You were worried about
Yeah, well, he wanted to run up hills and shit. Like, listen, I'm all for doing some cardio
that
stuff.
That 16 off season was tough.
Stupid. It was fucking
tough.
stupid is what it was. And I ended up blowing my back out the last lift because we used to do this thing on Fridays where you would come in and you would do 100 sets and then you would do like 10 gassers. So it'd be like squats, lunges, deadlifts, hand cleans, power cleans, everything with the leg movement, right? And eventually I was talking to him one day and I was like, dude, someone's going to get really hurt. Like, we're broken, dude. A lot of us are really broken, and you have to be smart about how you train. Oh, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. I blown up my back, and I threw a desk through a window at that day. I was really pissed. And then at the end of it, he just ended up hurting everybody. And, dude, we didn't get stronger. We didn't get better. We did a ton of running that had nothing to do with football. Like, we're offensive linemen. I'm not asked to run a lot. I'm asked to be, like, quick lateral movements. I'm asked to be fast out of my stance. I have to have good cardio for a long time, but I don't have to fucking run. I really hated that year. It really pissed me off a lot. And then I ended up getting lucky because then I went to the Cardinals after Carson called me, and out there we had Buddy Morris. And Buddy Morris, I don't know if anyone knows Buddy Morris, but Buddy Morris is like one of the best strength coaches in the NFL, and he's one of the original OGs, Westside Barbell. Like, he is a fucking badass. And I got out there and he was like, what kind of stuff you guys doing out there? I was like, dude, they had us fucking running like 30 gassers a day. He's like, what the fuck kind of shit is that? And I was like, I'm so happy to be here, buddy. Can we just go squat now? He was like, we're not going to fucking run anything. That's so stupid. Like, he was big into like hypertrophy. He was fucking awesome, dude. He was like,
what is the point of offensive linemen doing like sprinting and
you asked me, I don't know.
Because all of your work is done in a small controlled area, right?
I mean, I think there's a little bit of like acceleration and cutting that I think is good just for any athlete, right? Just any athlete, like a box drill. Right, we used to do a bunch of box drills in college, and I thought like where it's like, hey, sprint 5, cut, shuffle 5, cut, backpedal, like just change a direction just for overall like athletic movement. But when it comes to the conditioning side for an offensive lineman, it's so different than a receiver, like, or a tight end, right? And when you try and say, okay, everyone's going to run gassers, and the only difference is the receivers are going to run 14, the big skills are going to run 12, and then the O-linemen are going to run 10. You're kind of just saying like, well, everyone has to do the same thing conditioning wise. Well, the receiver isn't asked to push another 330-pound man 3 yards, right? And so that's where I had struggled with some of the NFL things, is it just felt like it was so cookie cutter approach, whereas like everyone has to do this. Versus there was teams like in Buffalo where it's like, hey, linemen, today the receivers are running gassers, you guys are doing sled pushes. Right. And I was like, I
Which
can
is
get on
huge.
board with that.
Yes.
Right. Or, hey, you guys, instead of running today, you're going to do reverse sled drags for 200 yards. Right.
Yep.
Build your lower half, your core, like, and it's
While
slow.
you're
right. It's
draining
slow,
your oxygen.
right?
Absolutely.
And so, like, there's definitely right and wrong ways to do it. And, in college, I had a great strength coach in college, James Dobson. He's the assistant in Oklahoma right now. He was the man. And, like, he had us do, like, resistive conditioning, which was like, hey, sled pushes, sled drags, get-ups. You had to do, like, barbell lunges across, and then you'd run 155-yard to end the circuit, right? And so you were just kind of still getting that movement. But when you're in the NFL, and even Alex, right? Alex was a high-paid guy. You can't really say no. Right?
No.
Because then you're going to get looked at by your teammates, and you're going to feel like shit too when you're like, I'm not doing this. It's like, well, everyone else is.
Yeah,
Right?
the coach would have to explain why you're not doing it, so it doesn't
Alex
look like
told
you're.
me, right? Alex told me he doesn't run, but all you guys are going to run, and Alex is going to stand here and watch you run. Like,
So I didn't do
it doesn't work like that. Right?
But if it's like, hey, Alex has got some knee stuff he's working through,
Right.
so
it'd have
like,
been way
he's-
different. But at the time, like, I couldn't. Obviously, nobody wanted me to come in and be like, he's got bad knees. Like, I think they were
After
just
they
like, shut the
paid him,
fuck
they're like,
up.
what
right?
do you mean
Like,
what do you mean he's got bad knees? Like, you don't tell people. You just say like,
No.
hey,
and
I don't do this.
right. And to be fair, like when I was with the Charles and we were in Arizona, so it would be like 120 degrees. We would pull and push trucks all day or semis, or he'd be like, all right, we're going to take it 400 yards today until the first person to throw up. And you'd be like, I'm not throwing up. I'm not going to be a bitch, because you knew if you lost, you had to buy breakfast for the whole gym. So you were like, I am not throwing up today. So workouts were really tough. And then I got up here and I was like, what do you mean run up a side of a fucking hill? Have you seen my knock knees? Are you I was like, dude, can we just dude, the best was after that we hired Uwe, and Uwe was with me in Frisco, and Uwe and myself were on a different level of strength and conditioning. Like Uwe and I every day would come in and do boxing together to work the hands. We had our own lifts together. Like he was all on board with me and Chuck and what we were doing, and he was very intrigued on how to make offensive linemen better. So he'd come down and hang out with us and be like, teach me more. So remember the second year he was here, our conditioning test? Yeah. That was all because that's how LaCharles was like, the fuck you mean these big boys are running? Don't you see their knees? Don't you want them week 16, 17, 18? You're not going to have them if you wear them out for 4 weeks of camp of straight running. So Uwe came in and was like, we're going to do sled pushes, and you have to make it in a certain time. And I was like, have you talked to LaCharles? And he was like, got the whole workout from him. I was like, all right, we're good. We're good, bud. No fucking running. Everyone looked at me. I'm like, well, we're not running today. Zero chance of running. You don't even need cleats.
But is the condition, when I first started covering like football as a beat writer, I think Brad Childress was the Vikings coach and whoever else in the NFL, and he would do like a conditioning test. You'd have to like pass a conditioning test. What is the conditioning test for offensive linemen generally in the NFL? Because there's like a gateway of to participate. You got to.
It was gassers. At Ohio State, you had to do 20 gassers. Every gasser was 20 seconds. In the first 10, you had 15 seconds rest. In the second 10, you had 30 seconds rest. And then
so it's a 20-second sprint, or
across
is it
the field and back.
So a gasser is across the field and back. It's technically a half
gasser.
A
the
full
gasser is back and
back, down, back. And so, it's going to be PTSD just thinking about.
That was nothing compared to my rookie year when we had to do the 300 drill. Did you ever do that one?
We had
that's around the two fields, right?
No. We had 300. We had 300s in college. So there's two ways you can do 300s. You can go 50 yards, but we did 25s.
So did we.
So you had to go 25 and back. How many times is that? 8 times, I think it is.
No,
6 times. 6 times. Right, so you're 25 back,
but the
25
cutting
back. And the cutting's the slow part, right? That's where you got to start and stop. Right, the 300-yard shuttles is by far the worst conditioning drill I've ever done.
By far. And the problem was when you had to do it, you had an average 64 seconds. So you could score one of them at like 80 seconds, but then the next one had to be at like fucking 50, and the next one had to be at 50 again. And it was hard because they would line up the entire like staff along the field.
Coaches,
so like the owners were out there, the GMs, the scouts. And I'm going to tell you right now, my rookie year, I remember going in this, and they were like, rookie, did you really work? I was like, oh, man, I fucking worked. And they were like, this test is a bitch. It's out on the hot field. It's in the middle of the day, and it's in front of everybody. And as much as you think you're going to be fine, they're like, you're going to freak out when you see the owner watching you because he's going to point out every single person not running. Like, so you fucking run. I ran my ass. I almost passed out. I remember the kid that finished last didn't even get to break it down with us. We all finished. There was one kid finishing last, and they didn't even let him finish. They grabbed him like, you, come here. Pulled him in, never saw him again. Like, they were like, dude, we're not playing. And I remember that shit was no joke.
Yeah, if you didn't pass it, guess what? You got to wake up the next morning and do it again.
Unless
And
you were a rookie, then they cut
did
you.
it. Yeah, if you're but like if you showed up as a vet and didn't pass it, you just had to keep running it until you passed.
Until you did.
They'll like
And
put
it
you on
doesn't
the,
get easier because guess what? You go out to practice soon, and
Yeah.
now you're beat up, and now you're tired. There was guys that take 10 days to do it.
Put 'em in
It would
fat
take.
camp.
That's right.
Dude.
Put it, you go on like the side field.
Yup.
You get put like on
The
a
assault
list.
the assault bike. Yeah,
Bro.
you get put into fat camp.
Never in my life was I ever put in a fat camp.
Never.
I was
No.
close my sophomore year or my freshman year of college. I was close. I was like 355. I was pushing some heavy weight, drinking a lot of beers, a lot of Modelo's. Okay.
Are you done with that Modelo yet?
Are you done with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you cracked
Like-
another
like
one?
a- like
you
a-
crush it on
no,
your
just
forehead?
One. Just one.
Oh.
Just one.
Sorry. Responsible,
one.
Dad.
I think you should at least crunch it on the microphone so we know that it's officially done. There we go.
There you go.
There it is. Right
done.
there. Okay, next dumb football question comes from Mega Riser in the YouTube comment section. Who's the smartest center you guys ever played with?
Do I have to say this?
Yeah.
No, I'm not,
Say
because
it.
I may have played with someone smarter. AQ Shipley.
Oh,
I don't have to give. So AQ was by far the smartest guy I ever played with. Like, just he knew everything, and he obviously everybody sees him on McAfee now, and he talks about offenses, and he's super into it. He was the guy that when I went to Arizona, AQ and I played in the Big Ten together, so we knew each other. Obviously, he went to Penn State, I went to Ohio State, and we had known each other our entire league. So when I got there, he was like, "Hey," my head was spinning, right? He's like, "Let's go to dinner tonight, you and me, and I'll teach you the whole offense in 20 minutes." And I was like, there is zero chance I'm going to learn this whole offense in 20 minutes. This is on like a Thursday night before the Lions game. So we go to dinner in fucking 10 minutes. I was like, it can't be this easy. He goes, that easy, bud. That easy. Don't think, just do. I'll take the tomahawk he's paying. I was like, oh my God, this is it? He was like, dude, it's the whole offense. I was like, holy shit, it is. Like, he just understood everything on different dimensions. But at the same time, in my opinion, one of the things that makes you a really smart center is you have the confidence to make calls when shit goes wrong. Like, he was not afraid to be like, everybody shut the fuck up. Here it is. Here's our new mic. I want you guys to do this. And you'd be like, dude, it's a run. What the fuck are you talking about? He'd be like, just think about what I'm telling you to do. Do this, and I want you to do that. And you'd be like, oh, okay, I got what you're doing. Got it. Totally get it now. Like, he was just him and Jay Good. Jay Goody, who's now the assistant quarterbacks coach in the Chargers, which, hilarious. A center as quarterbacks coach.
I mean,
Dude, they don't have sizes that big for you in that room, man. What the fuck? But there's a reason they're bringing him in with the quarterbacks. He was one of the guys that when Cap first started, they were like, listen, Cap's got a lot on his plate, so Goody, we're going to put all this on your plate. And so that's when the offensive line was like, we're going to all learn this together. And so that's how we all became so
it
smart.
could like learning protections and where things are coming from is the most important thing.
And you have to be ready to be reactionary. Like, you have to know the down and distance and like, hey, this guy's creeping. I know this is what he's going to get ourselves into. I'm going to forecall this before anything happens. Like, those are the guys that you're like, man, this motherfucker knows what he's doing. Now, there were rules with these guys. They would always be like, listen, I'll get everybody in the right spot. If anybody gets me fucked up, you're dead. So you kind of had to go out and protect these guys. Like, if anybody gave him a late shot, I remember one time BJ Raji hit Goody late as fuck over the pile, and we almost lost him for the game. And I remember he was public enemy number one for the next 3 years. Like, we tried to maim him, hurt him, destroy him. Like, we were like, how dare you fucking touch this old man over here? Like, Goody was old. Took naps at lunchtime in his Panamera. I'm not even kidding you. And people be like,
hey, don't knock naps at lunchtime.
Dude,
okay?
we had the O-line corner in the locker room, right? It was like this little nook that was pushed way outside the locker room, and everyone would be like, come and be like, hey, where's Goody? I'd be like, he's taking a nap. Leave him alone. They'd be like, where's he taking a nap? I'd be like, in his car. Leave him the fuck alone. He'd come in with his like hood up. He'd be like, anybody ask for me? I'd be like, yeah, the OC's looking for you, bud. I think he's got something for you. Big task he wants to know from you. He'd be like, oh, fuck. All right, I'll be right back. I'd be like, dude, this guy's such a baller. Like, wore Jordans every game. Just swag the fuck. I love him to death. Love both those guys.
Yeah, I've got a toss up. It's either Nick Hardwick in San Diego or it's Ryan Kalil in Carolina. Like, both those dudes were extremely smart and had everything on their plate. And you know, I'm gonna give it to Ryan strictly because Phil obviously would overrule Nick quite often, but like in Carolina, Cam did nothing with the protections. Like, nothing. It was all on Ryan. Like, everything. It was his job to see safety rotation, flip the protection. Like, and Cam just trusted Ryan fully. to do everything. Right. And so he had the whole bit on his plate there. And it was impressive to see, even when I was only there for camp, just the way that he commanded the offense and the way that he had the O-line all together and the whole bit was super impressive because like it was, and he kind of said the same thing, but like, hey, if I'm wrong, we're all wrong, but don't anyone throw me under the bus.
Ever.
Right? Like, and that was
no,
always
no.
a cardinal rule. Like if the rule of the play was we went right and he took us left, like you weren't in the, and it ends up being wrong, and the coach was like, well, "What the hell? Why'd we go here?" And someone's not like, "Well, Ryan took us left, right?" Like that's a no. Like that's a bust.
We all made a willing decision to go this way, coach.
Yeah.
They're not stupid. They know
we all
the
said
center
in
made the
unison,
call.
we must
Dude,
go the other way.
We had that happen in our room, and it happens a lot because people don't know what to say, and you're like, just shut up, don't say anything. One of the vets will handle it, right?
Yeah.
That's when one of the vets is supposed to stand up and go, hey, we fucked this up. Let's just move on. All right, move on. Go on. Like, nobody wants to get anybody thrown under the bus, but certainly not the center. And I'm going to say this, and you might have the same memories. But there'll be times I'm sitting at a light, and it's like a red light, and I'll just start laughing because I'll think about all the one-on-ones. Remember when we used to do pass rush versus defense? And they always needed to do like a silent count, so like you'd always have to practice it. Every time we were in the pass rush one-on-ones, I'd smack the living shit out of Goody's ass. And I mean to the point that the coaches were like, dude, you got to stop. He gets so mad. I'd be like, no, dude. Because, you got to tap him. And there was a couple times in games, I'm not kidding you, like I needed to cut the ice, right? Like guys were tense. I'd come up there and smack the shit out of him and be like, here we go, buddy. He'd be like, He gets so mad, and then everybody'd start laughing and shit. I'd be like, finally, everyone's calm. Like it's just so funny to think about these silly things that like very serious moments playing like Seattle when you could have been like heard a pin drop. And here we are out there just fucking around, smacking each other on the ass, saying inappropriate things. Like, it was just so funny all the time. And those are the funniest stories that you have with these centers, is the guys that could keep it light out there, but still be advanced in directing traffic and still be like, don't ever override me. Now, and I will say this, when the quarterback and the center are going at it, that's a weird thing.
Oh, dude.
I got a great story. You're fighting.
I got a great story. So we're playing the Broncos in 2014. And it was Nick and Philip, right? I think it was the Broncos. Like I don't remember who it was. And they're up there, and the protection calls for us to go right. And so we get up there, and Nick is like, "Hey, we're going to load it. We're going to go load it here, load it." And Phil comes up there, he's like, "No, Nick, rock it." And like
this
literally
is
Nick,
at the line of scrimmage.
At the line of scrimmage. And Nick turns around, he's like, "No, we're going left. Load it." And he's like, "No, Nick, no, we're going right. Rocket." He goes, "Phil, I'm telling you, we're going left." And then all of a sudden Phil goes, "Hey, rocket, Delta!" Like the hurry up and snap it.
Last
And
thing
Nick
you
goes,
hear.
"Damn it!" and snaps it. And like we come off on the sideline, and they're just yelling at each other, dude, like screaming.
Did the play work or no?
No, it did work, but then we're like, "What happened?" And our O-line was like, saw blitz that came off both sides. And so I was like, "You both were right. Like, everyone relax." Like, but yeah, Phil and Nick used to just scream at each other about like who was right, who was wrong. Like, it was so funny. Dude.
So here's this is maybe more of a Jeremiah question. Centers are so important for all the reasons that you guys have laid out for a year on the show. Why are they not more highly sought after in the draft? Like, it's very rare that you see a first round center, even though they're literally like the centerpiece of the communication system. They're an extension of the quarterback. I know that you got to find a freak 6'8", 340-pounder to play left tackle. So physically, it's harder to find the left tackles. But like, for how important center is, why do we just take flyers in the 5th round on centers all the time?
Because majority of the centers in the league are veterans, right? If you think about it, like I'd say J. Mike last year, John Michael was the only true rookie starting center in the entire NFL week 1. Right. And then like even Steve Avila, who went in the second, who's going to play center for the Rams this year, played left guard last year. Okay. Right. Like very rarely and if you draft someone in the first round and even in the second round, like you expect them to play right away. Right. Like they're contributors. But so much is on the center's plate that very, very rarely do head coaches and GMs want to put a rookie center out there. Like, they don't love that, especially if you pair them with, like, a rookie quarterback or something like that. Like, they want to have a veteran presence at center, and so you can take a center in the 4th or the 5th, have them develop, right? And maybe they're not the athletic freak in the world, but then you're like, okay, in year 3, I can trust you to come be our starting center after you've spot started at guard, or maybe you've played a year and you've got some playing experience under your belt, and now I feel like I can put the load of being the center of the quarterback of the O-line on your shoulders now, which I didn't feel like I could do as a rookie.
Okay.
Right. And so I think that's a little bit of what happens with why you don't see a ton of centers go early.
Yeah.
Right. Linderbaum is one of the few that went in the first. Like Bradbury went in the first.
Yep.
But usually if you're the top center, you're going in the second round. Like that's just kind of the industry
Like
standard.
Mac was
That's
a
a great
second
point,
rounder.
though. You're not going to come in as a rookie. Very rarely are you going to come in. Like J. Mike played really well last year, and there's things that he learned at center. But at the same time, when you talk about a team developing and a nucleus, like there's not a lot of teams that the quarterback isn't in charge. You know what I'm saying? Like there's more veteran quarterbacks right now than there are rookie quarterbacks, and a lot of those guys are like, I don't need you to tell me what to do. Kirk Cousins doesn't need a center to tell him where to slide. He's going to tell you where to slide. Like eventually, those quarterbacks like you to listen to them. Hey, I want to go here. Now, it's a great story that Jay told because it happens all the time. But there is a lot of times that they're like, hey, if this comes up, I'm in control. And you're like, got it. Whatever you want, man. As long as you understand, if you get fucking hit, it's your fucking fault. Like, we don't want to do this.
Quarterback needs to feel comfortable with whatever's about to happen.
And he has to know, and you have to know, this is how you build trust with each other. Like, you're like, okay, I'm going to let you call the reins until this shit gets wild, and then we're taking back over because it's not going to be your ass that gets in trouble. It's going to be ours always. Like, you can't get in that room and then be like, why is our quarterback getting fucking carried off by the trainers? Well, he wanted to go load it. Like, they're like, that ain't good enough, stupid. We said that we're going to do that, and this coach, you don't understand out there. He's pulling the reins on me. Like, but we saw this look and we talked to him like, he said he wanted to go fucking load it. What do you want me to do? Like, everyone's listening to him. And it's like, you don't want that friction ever. So it's always great to be on the same page, but you don't see a lot of centers going early because they are veterans and they work themselves into that position and integrity and toughness, and they're smart as fuck. You don't just come in this league and know what a 2 and a 4 and a 6 and a 1 and a 3 and go, hey, they're gonna buzz down here. Watch this. Like, these kids are like, dude, what the fuck did he?
They're
just
like,
say?
wait, that's Dexter Lawrence across from me, right? Like,
Exactly.
there's enough to worry about, and it's hard. It's hard for rookie centers to play. It is tough.
Shout out to J. Mike, dude. Did it and fucking.
Yeah.
He's such a badass. He's such a funny dude. I was thinking about him this offseason. We went to breakfast, and when he called one of our rookies pretending to be the Giants scout, and I was like, this is so wrong. Like, I told you, comedy is funny all the time, no matter where you are. And the way that rookie was like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. J. Mike's over here like, he could barely hold it in. And he's like, I can't do this anymore. So where you at right now? And he was like, you could tell he was so nervous to tell me he was in Houston. He's like, I'm actually just getting off a flight in Houston. He's like, oh, you go to see the Texans? They're more important than us? He's, no. I was like, dude, this is
So mean, dude.
It's so funny.
So mean.
Welcome to the locker room.
Cloquet 33 wants to know. So just for some background here, on Sunday, only 46 players can be active. So there's like 7 players that are deactivated or inactive on game day.
Eat a ton of hot dogs at halftime. Yep.
No stress.
No stress fine.
Because you can't get put in the game. Yeah.
Yep.
So Cloquet 33 wants to know, why can't all 53 players just suit up and play on game day? Why are we
That'd be too
deactivating 7?
That'd be way too easy.
It's a fairness thing, right? It's so if one team has 4 dudes injured,
Okay.
right? Think about it. Like, if that team has 4 guys that are key guys injured, right, and then the other team has no guys injured, it's not really fair, right? So it's just basically a way of saying, like, hey, every week you have to have at least 7 guys down, right? It's more of a competition fairness thing. But yeah, I mean, being the down guy is the most non-stressed, hanging out, chilling, like, ever. Like, I mean, literally,
There's that?
Dude.
no, at halftime, I used to in 2016 I was inactive quite often or 2015 when I got traded to the Vikes. I was inactive for like 8 or 10 games, and anytime it was a home game in the Gopher Stadium, like halftime, I went directly into the little lounge. There was hot dogs, there was chicken strips, there was PB&Js, and you're just like, oh,
good.
gotta be back out there in 5 minutes. Oh,
Wait,
take one for the road.
Are the
So
active
good.
players plowing snacks at halftime?
No, not really, because
Not like
I would
that.
have
They'll have like
oranges.
oranges.
Yeah,
but
I'd
like,
have oranges.
not like. I mean, I'm
Dude.
talking like it's back in the like family area, right?
You
They're
have to
setting
go
it up for.
back,
they're setting it up
back
for like
there. Yeah.
post game.
Jeremiah's up in the club suites
But no,
with
no,
the
no.
fans. Just like-
They're like
Everyone.
Everybody. EQ at San Francisco used to have it in their room, and you would walk in, like, because you'd in preseason, when they were like, you're out, you'd be like untaping, like racing to get back there, and it would be like the head coach, the OC, the DC, and they'd be like, we get priority back here, and you'd be like, fuck you, dude, you're just taking a million hot dogs. It's hilarious what goes on at halftime. Like, when you're in season and you're in the moment and they're pissed, it's not very funny, but when you're deactivated, I remember in 16, I got a deactivation fine and a no-show fine because they told me not to come to the game because I had a concussion.
Yeah, concussion.
So I got fined twice.
No stress, no travel.
Wow. I'm already starting to trigger, dude. That brought back so many no travel.
So
no stress, no
so
travel.
the fine list, right? We talk about the fine list a lot, but like the big fines came in the in-game fines. Like that was where the bulk of the money in the pot came from, right? Like a sack was like $150, a holding was $100, like an ME was $150. Like so, like
on the ground, OTG,
like on the ground was like $50. So you would rack up big time fine money for playing. Well, we were like, well, that's not really fair if you don't play. And we're like, it's really not fair if you don't even dress. And so if you were deactivated, you got hit with a $200 no stress fine, right? Just hang out, boys. And so you'd be like, damn it, right? $200. But then if you were like Alex, if you couldn't come to the game, or if like it was an away game and then you wouldn't go, you would get hit with a another 200 fine for no travel. So it's no stress, no travel. So you're just chilling at home, but you paid $400 for it, right? Like, and so it was all encompassing. Like, money definitely.
Wait, and then the money at the end of the season? What is that?
We'd all go on a trip.
Okay.
Vegas. We went to Vegas, and after the 16th season and the 17th season, we went down to Miami on a big old line.
So you just give it to an MGM property or Steve Wynn or whoever the hell.
I mean, we paid
Aria.
we went to Aria,
Paid the Aria.
and then we paid Aria, and then we went to
dinner.
Hakkasan. We went to dinner. We went to a big dinner at SDK.
Oh, dude, we went and saw Tiesto.
And then we went to
we got to hang out with
stage
Tiesto.
table, and then the next night we went to XS for Marshmallow. Like, yeah, it was a great time. I miss Vegas.
I miss it, man. We should
live show in
Vegas trip. Live show.
Hey, if you want to join the Mackey plan, Thanksgiving in Vegas, Thanksgiving football.
Oh, no. You're here with me.
Oh, that's right. We already talked about that.
You're here with
Sorry.
me. Yeah. No, you're playing.
Okay. We'll find another time on the calendar.
Dude, by the way, I just want everybody to know that probably people were like, oh, this is fucked up. They're fighting each other. We loved it. Like, you knew
great.
the fine. Okay, and I will say this. We weren't total assholes, okay? Like, every holiday we would do something with the money, whether we would donate it for, I think,
turkeys.
Thanksgiving we gave it to turkeys. Christmas we gave it to gift giving. Like, and Tony was huge in that. Like, and he was very proud that we were always like, because dude, the fines some weeks were like $5.
Was it cash
it was
only? Did you guys have a credit card system?
Like
cash.
Apple Pay here? No, dude. It was like
straight.
Where do I
cash.
swipe my card?
If you didn't have it by Tuesday,
Late
it was
fine.
another fine.
And then it would double.
Dude.
It would start
and
to
then
double.
I came and found it. Oh, I was pissed.
Because I was the ledger, and so I was also the cash collector, and so I billed quarterly, right? So I'd say, hey, it's quarter time. You have to have your money by Monday. If you don't have it here by Monday, and then it's not here by Wednesday, it doubles, right? Like in it could be like from 400 to 800, and then it doubled again, 800 to 1600. Like
it went up quick.
And there was a couple guys that forgot to pay a few times and drove to my house. Like in Minnesota, like I have it. It's not doubling. I'm like, oh, thank you for your $2,000.
Who determines the?
I think
So
it
like
was me once. I think it was
holding
me once.
holding is clear cut. Who determines the missed? The Emmy is a missed.
Coach. It's all off the coach's
coach.
grade.
It's
Okay.
not hard.
Off the-
we
off
all
the
could.
coach's
We could
grade.
all technically be like, that's an ME, dumbass. Like you
Yeah.
totally went to the wrong guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
But
know what's funny too?
there was some
lying
kangaroo
fines.
court like a pillow fine for like general overall softness. Like if you didn't touch someone, you'd be like, oh, that's close there for a pillow, and so like you could ding them, and then you had the opportunity to rebuttal it. And like if you rebutted it, it would obviously take the ding away. But if you rebutted it and we found that you were guilty, it doubled. Right, like so there was definitely a kangaroo courts in session
Welcome to the
every
court.
single day.
And you were fighting guys like me and Jeremiah and Tony every day, and we were all like, "No,
if you
we
were
want
rookie,
your money."
If you were a rookie, you didn't even try.
Has
Like,
anyone
money's
ever been
ours.
caught like skimming money out of the?
Oh my
No,
god,
no,
are
no,
you
no, no, no,
fucking
no.
crazy, dude? I've seen guns brought to work before over stupid shit.
I know, dude.
I'm
it's
not
crazy.
kidding you. I saw the first gun I saw was my rookie year, like in a locker room, and he was like, "Yo, motherfucker, you owe me that money." And the dude was like, "Yo, I got it today, like today." Like I was like, dude, money in the NFL is sacred, and
Well,
if
what
it
I-
ever gets
so-
touched out of our room, it was on.
I would collect, and then to make sure, I would give it to Tony. Right, so I was like, the only time I ever had the cash was at the end when I collected, and then at the end of the year. And that's something when you go to your local bank with 50 grand in cash and different assortment of bills. Right, you got 20s, 5s. When you're like, can I have hundreds for this, please? And they're like, you a drug dealer? Or like, why do you want 50 grand in cash? And it's like, I'm going to Vegas. And they're like, oh, okay. And like walking, dude. I remember flying to Vegas. I held my backpack on the front of me. right? Because I had 50 grand cash in there, and I was just
Isn't
like,
that it? Don't you have to report anything over 10?
I don't know, I didn't. But like I was just walking through,
Or is it
like
just international? Maybe
I was just walking through the airport, like gripping this bag like this.
But dude,
like,
so
if I
that
lose
bag
this,
goes-
I'm on the hook. Like I'm fully on
you
the
would have
hook.
died. You would have
That
died.
bag goes through the security belt, and they're like backing it up. You know, they're looking at people's toothbrush bags, and they're looking at like, oh, there's a laptop. There's $50,000 in the backpack.
Yeah. I
As
didn't
that
get
guy
stopped.
nervously stands outside.
I literally like I was just like I put it through the thing and I ran to the other side and I was just staring at it like, okay, get it off the belt. Like, okay, back to my chest.
Who's
Like,
the nervous, sweaty guy waiting for his $50,000?
Dude, the
as
best
soon
one
as I
was-
got there, I handed it to Alex and I was like, this is no longer my responsibility. I don't want this anymore. You deal with this.
Oh my god.
We took care of it that night. We had a fucking blast.
We had a
dude.
good time.
We did some great things.
Man. Well, okay, those are the dumb football questions here for the week on O-line committee. Some good ground covered there, boys.